got one that can see.
Logic before authority. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. And I've got something I want to show you today, something I'm not going to be able to go completely through it all and explain everything, but I want you, giving you this to think about, to ponder, to pray about, and we will continue to talk about this. Some of you will remember that I have talked to you in the past and explained and showed to you that the tabernacle, Moses' tabernacle, and also the temple of Solomon, which you see a 3D image of here, okay? This whole, what you're looking at here is basically the image, and I've shown you in the past that it is the image of man, the body of man, okay? And you're looking at this and you're thinking that don't make any sense unless you've heard me explain it before, but I'm going to explain it. I'm going to prove it, but there's a bigger understanding that's here that is through prayer and meditation that has become more and more clear to me, and I want to share it with you. And again, this is the beginning of the discernment, the beginning of the understanding of it. So there's much more to be found and understood. But let's take a look at this, okay? Let's look at it from the perspective of, first off, that the temple and the tabernacle were built in the image of man, okay? Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to explain to you how it is also in the image of heaven and the earth. God built things in his own image. And what we're looking at here is a version of that image, okay? But let's see. Okay, so let me show you this other image first, and then we're going to come back to this image. Let me show you this next image here. Now, I'm not the only one that's ever figured this part out, and I don't think I'm the only one who has ever figured out what I'm going to show you about. This is also the image of the heaven and the earth as well, okay? But we're going to get to that. First, I need to show again that this is the image of the temple, and the tabernacle is the image of man, okay? Now, you see we have an image of man laying here, okay? And then you have the image of the temple up here, where it has the Holy of Holies, where it has the Ark of the Covenant at, and where God shows himself at up here in the very back of the building, or the top of the building, at the top of the stairs. The stairs are the vertebrae in your body, coming up your back, basically. Then you have the holy place here, which is the body. The Holy of Holies is the head, and the holy place is the body, okay? Now, you have right out front of the temple where the porch is at, you have two pillars, Jackass and Boaz, okay? And those are the pillars. Those pillars, like you see in this image here, stretched out, are the legs, the pillars. There are other words for pillars in this study, in this understanding, would be poles. Poles. Think about it in the way our world is laid out and the understandings that we have of our world. We have two poles in our world. It's said to be that there are two poles, right? And So you have your poles, you have your, well, we'll just call them poles, your legs, your poles, like they show here, okay? The pillars, the body, which is the holy place, and the holy of holies, okay? And let me show you why I know that the holy of holies is the head, okay? Let's go right here, excuse me, to this diagram. And I'm going to show you this, which some of you have seen this before. Okay. But this is in the Holy of Holies, meaning it is in your head. As a matter of fact, it is right between your eyes. And yes, I know I have shown this. And what you're looking at is the image of a boat, for one. Here are your portholes on top of the boat. Okay. And down here, of course, you can see the rudder and fins or wings, like a fish. They're called fins. For a bird, it's called wings. Here are some wings. Okay. As you can see, it has two sets of wings. It has a greater wing right here and a lesser wing right here and right here. There's the other greater wing on the other side, as you can see, sticking down. And you also have up here, this is called the Crista Galley. Okay, the Crista Galley. And you have the bow of the boat here in the front. Okay, the bow or the bow of the boat in the front. And this is the image and the story of Noah's Ark, as well as the story of the building of the temples and the Ark of the Covenant being in it. This is it within you, and it sits right between your eyes. So this is how I know. Let's see, I think I have another diagram here of the head itself, maybe. Yeah, like this is where it sits. Okay. You remember recently they were getting you to stick things up your nose? What they were doing is those things were coming up right up through under here, and they were poking right up in here. This is the only separation between the outside environment, the world, and your Holy of Holies, which is, as you can see, is covered by what looks like a veil. You see how this looks like a cross here? Okay. Looks like a cross with a veil on it, hanging down on it. A curtain, just like many of the crosses you've seen with a veil or a shawl hanging on it. That's what that is. Okay. You can look at it from the other side and it's very similar. Okay. And you're hard to see that that's a cross with a veil hanging on it. Okay. So let's go back here and look at this. So if we click here now, knowing this is kind of like what we're looking at. Okay. This is what we're looking at. If we click here and we look at it as it is embedded into the skull, okay, this is what you're looking at. Here's some additional other images of the area and so on. Let's look at this. Now, many of you have heard me talk about and explain the point of creation. Okay, you can see the little portal holes basically in here, and that is also part of the veil itself. Okay, the veil is the separation between the Holy of Holies and the lower holy area, which is the outside world basically, and your lower body. Let's go and look at this image over here again. And when you look at this, you should see imagery of other things that are in our bodies, especially a female. And you may think, oh, that is profane. There is nothing here that I'm showing you that is profane. This is all the image of God and the image of our world and our heavens. But let me take you, let's go inside the temple. Okay, we're going to go past through the first gateway. We're entering into the body, and we're entering in through the privates area. Okay, just like, well, let me show you. We'll come back to that in a second. To make a statement like that, you need to back it up. Right here. Oh, right here. Okay, you see this basilica? Okay, like Notre Dame, for instance. Let me see if I've got it here. I know I do. Somewheres. Where did I put it? Some other things we got to talk about in a minute. There's the foliage around the garden. And let's go on. No, yes, we're going to talk about it. Not yet. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, here is an image of a well-known basilica, a Catholic church, a basilica. As you can see, you have two large towers, pillars, legs right here. And you have this, the spire here is symbolism for the heart. Okay. You can see that it has ribs that run all along the side of the building, what looks like ribs. Okay. And then inside of the church, when you go inside from the outside, we'll go inside in a second, but here you have the front where you enter. And I said that you entered into the temple in the area of the privates. That's what I just said a while ago when we were talking about the Solomon's temple and the tabernacle. They're set up as though you are entering in through a gateway, a point of creation. Something might go in or something might come out. It's just like a woman when she has a child. Something might go in, being sperm or the man member, and something might come out like a baby or a child. Okay. When you bring those two energies together, the feminine and the masculine, you end up having the potential for a spark and something to be created. Just like I've shown you, when an egg is fertilized with a sperm, it sparks. That's the moment of conception. That's the essence of that child connecting with that living flesh. Okay. So here's a basilica. This is a woman laying on her back with her legs in the air. You'll have to take it up with the Catholic Church if you don't like what is the facts. Okay. And here's your doorway down here. Of course, the main entrance, they've got three of them here, but the main entrance is in the shape of a Vesica Pisces. And the Vesica Pisces, of course, is, let's see here, is this imagery here. You can see, and this is Catholic imagery for the most part, I believe. And they have the Vesica Pisces, the shape of the gateway for a woman or a human, for a child to come out, or a male member or sperm to go in, and it's in the shape of a Vesica Pisces. Same thing here. Woman clothed in the sun, standing on her moon with the moon under her. Okay. You see the moon. Yeah, it is what they are referring to. Just what it sounds like. And so this is the shape that we're talking about. And we have that right here. Okay. Now, right above the Vesica Pisces, the gateway, the portal, the point of creation, right above that, you'll see the flower, okay, or the rose window. A rose, what's a rose? A rose is, of course, something that is in the image of a point of creation or a toroidal whirlwind image, which many things are in that image all over the world and all over our bodies. Okay. And this is symbolism for a Taurus also. A Taurus, a whirlwind, just like we talked about. Let me show you here. We're talking about the Taurus, the whirlwind, just like a hurricane with an eye in the center. Okay. You see here, Job 38:1, it says, "Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind." Okay. Then Job 46, "Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind." Okay. And what does it say in 2 Kings? It says, "And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, a portal, a point of creation, something that might come out or something that might go through." In this case, it was Elijah went through the whirlwind. Okay. 2 Kings 2:11 says, "And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by whirlwind into heaven." Now, what does it say about in the Bible about the burning bush, where God showed himself to Moses on the mountaintop, a fire? And what does it also talk about there being a storm and a whirlwind that came up when God was present? Recall this stuff? Do you know this stuff? Here in the tabernacle, when God would come and meet with the high priest or Moses, there would always be a whirlwind, a cloud, a storm that would appear and would be a swirl like a tornado coming down out of the heavens. You see it depicted here. And where it takes place is right here on the Ark of the Covenant, which the Ark of the Covenant is right there where the whirlwind is coming down. This is the gateway, the portal, the ark, okay? Because we're talking about fire. Like we have the Arctic and the Antarctic. That's the North Pole and the South Pole. The Arctic. Here's another image showing the basically similar thing. Got the whirlwind. Okay. You see? All right. Now let's see if I can go back where I was at. A whirlwind, or another name for a whirlwind, is a Taurus. Just like I said a while ago. This is the image of a Taurus or a rose or many things that are in that image. And in this case, because it is right above the Vesica Pisces, of course, this is the Taurus that this is the clitoris. The thing within a place within a woman that can whip up a storm. No, and that is not profane. This is a higher understanding. There is nothing profane about what we're talking about. It is the truth. And of course, let's now go ahead inside the building. And when we look all the way to the back, this is considered the most holy place in the building, right? In the back of the basilica, in the back of the temple. Now let's go back over. Yes, we were here and we were about to enter in through the privates, through the gateway, through the point of creation, through the portal, the gateway. We're crossing the first veil, or one of the veils that are upon the body. A female has a veil when she is born as a young girl. She has a hymen, which is a veil. And also she has wings, which are a veil. The female genitalia has greater wings and lesser wings. I'm not going to show the image. You should be aware. Now, if we enter on in, let's see what we see. All right. We see imagery of a garden. No, not necessarily a vegetable garden, but we see flowers that are growing. We see palm trees, all things that are in the image of the toroidal flow and the torus itself. And of course, we also see a number of other things like the showbread and the candles and the stairs. But mainly what we're going to focus on here is moving up into the Holy of Holies. Let's see if we can make this thing go into the Holy of Holies. It's a little tricky to operate here, to be honest. Well, let's keep going. And there we see the two cherubims. And we see the Ark of the Covenant with the cherubims on it, with their wings. And they are arced over, and there are two of them, just like two poles, sun and the moon. And they're arced over the mercy seat. I showed you the ethmoid bone in your forehead earlier. And this is that point in your head. And the veil, here is the veil, of course, right here. This is one way to show the veil, okay, with these doors. And you've seen the veil that was upon the cross, that was upon the ark that is in your forehead right between your eyes. You've seen that. And it's guarded by two cherubims on each side. Two things that are in the image of creation. And you would think, how is that, Daniel? Well, again, it's about symbolism. Okay. Here we have these two cherubims, and their wings come up to the very tip top and they touch. What we would have to do is we would have to look a little further into the human head. This is called the sphenoid bone. The ethmoid bone, or the ark bone, sits right here on top of this, inside of your head. Sits right here. It's actually made in together right in this area. Okay. And of course, this looks like, in one imagery, a butterfly in one way. It also looks like one of the cherubims, doesn't it? With the wings and the eyes and the head and face and shape of an animal, does it not? Of course it does. With this articulated head, the human head, we can zoom in a little closer and see some of the individual pieces. You can see what looks like doves flying. You can see all kinds of interesting things, but this is the ethmoid bone here, the blue one. And there's the sphenoid bone right behind it that looks like what we were looking at that was depicted in the temple, like something with wings and the face of a creature somehow. And of course, there is the ethmoid bone with the crista galli on the front of it here. This bump right here is called the crista galli. It stands up on top of the boat. If say this is a boat or an ark, and it stands up on top of the boat like a man standing on a boat. It's the crista galli. It's the representation in our bodies of Christ, the Son of God, or many names that we could call. But yeah, now let me show you this. I'm going to start explaining to you, because I think I've showed you enough there. Like I said, we're not going to go all the way into the depth of showing over and over and over and proving over and over and over what I'm showing you is the truth. But I'm going to show you now, or start showing you now, that not only are the basilicas and the temples, not only are they all built in the image of man, they are built in the image of heaven and earth and even God. God said he made man and woman in his image. He even says in their image, meaning man and woman, which God is both masculine and feminine, all in one. There is no separation. So let's read this. Genesis 1:6, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. A firmament. Now I want you to reach up, and I want you to put your hand on top of your head, like above your forehead. You feel that dome, that firmament? Okay, keep that in mind for a minute. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. Now, let me ask you something. You have to remember we're talking about the human body, and we're talking about the heavens and the earth. Okay? The heavens are the Holy of Holies, and the earth is the holy place. Just like Moses said, take your shoes off, you're standing on holy ground. The earth is the holy area, and the heavens is the Holy of Holies area, with the same imagery that our body is made in. And I have ways to show you that I'm right. Okay? Trust me, we'll get there. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And then the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let there be for signs and seasons and for days and years. Again, we're talking about the heavens and the earth and the human body. Now, you got your hand on your forehead or your top of your head still? You ever notice that the hair on your head grows in a swirl or a whirl? It's the energy flow that comes out of the Holy of Holies that causes the storm even on top of your head to show itself, but the hair will swirl. And they call it a cowlick. It's the supernatural energy, the light that comes out of you. And it says that God made two great lights. Take your hand, slide it down. See if you can find anything where light goes in or light comes out upon a creation. An image of a toroidal storm, which is your eye. You have two eyes. two great lights in your head. Let's see, I think that was all on this one. Let's go down to Genesis 1:14. Actually, I think I already got that. Yeah. So let's go to Ezekiel 1:22. Now, this is talking about something else that is also made in the image of heaven and earth and God and man and woman, which was talking about the things that Ezekiel was describing that he's seen, like angels and cherubims, okay? Because all this imagery of all things is all reflections of itself and all reflections of God, our Father in heaven. 122, and the likeness, image, and the likeness, reflection, and the likeness, similarity, of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of a terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. We're talking about the firmament, the heavens above. See, in your head, you have two main sides to your brain, and they are in the shape of a toroidal form, and they butt together like cheeks of a butt. Your brain butts together the same way. They're two toruses, they're two whirlwinds that are butted together, and they are in the likeness of a whirlwind. They are in the likeness of a buttock. Each side of your brain, the left and the right. And inside that brain, you have something called synapses, or you could call them nodes or nodal points, where energy crosses itself and it creates sparks and light in your head on a consistent basis, just like the heavens. And the likeness of the firmament above the heads of the living creature was the color of a terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. 123, and under the firmament were their wings straight, one toward the other. Did we discover anything here that looked like it had wings or anything that could be the likeness thereof? Obviously, we did. Q125, and there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. Now, if your head is in the image of heaven, let's do an experiment. Reach back up and get your firmament on top of your head. It's a point of creation. It's like the Garden of Eden. Reach and grab your hair. That is the foliage that grows in the garden. That is foliage. It is a veil that covers the garden, and it is foliage because where a point of creation is at, the garden grows the best. Where the energy swirls, where the whirlwind blows, the garden grows the best. Feel your hair. Realize the swirl that is in your hair that is there. Now pull your hand down across your forehead. Find the sun and the moon, the two lights in the heavens, where light comes out, or maybe light goes in, because they're in the likeness, in the image of. Now, if the head is like the heavens, we could make the wind blow. If the head were in the likeness and was the Holy of Holies. We can make the thunder roll. You see, we have all of this all over us. It's embedded into us. It is us. We are a part of God. We are his children. We are like the heavens, and the heavens are like us. And if our head is like the heavens, inside of our head, the Holy of Holies would be like the heavens, and there would be the appearance of a man upon it. The man on an ark, or the man in a boat. If you look up the imagery of what the ark, Noah's ark, is said to look like, it looks like this. It has all these portals. It has the crystal galley in the front, the rudders in the back, and it has sails or veils upon it. But it also has the crystal galley, the appearance of a man in a boat. Here is the forum and secum, right here in the crystal galley. The man in the boat, or I've heard it called the man in the little boat. But this is the imagery of the point of creation. It is in your head. You have all this within you. God is great. God is all powerful, and we are in his image. We not only are in his physical image, but we have his great authority. We can do great things and even greater. Jesus said we would. He proclaimed we would do greater than even I, he said. But we have to realize that authority. We have to realize that God is within us. We have to realize that Christ is within us. And we have to come before God as little naked children, humble and blameless and pure, and leave the profanities that try to enter our minds. What you need to do is cut those words, bind those words, and cast them in the dry places so that they may never grow and produce any more things against us. When you think something profane, you cut the words, you bind them, and you cast them in the name of Jesus Christ into dry places. Our bodies are but a vessel, like a ship. And here we are sailing through the whirlwind, literal whirlwind, because the earth itself is a whirlwind and has many whirlwinds and images and likenesses of other whirlwinds within it, just like the water goes down the toilet. Sorry, guys, I got interrupted there for just a second, so I kind of lost my train of thought. Somebody knocked on the front door. But I hope you can see the likeness, the image, and you can think about your body and think about how your body, like you say, Daniel, you said the body is like the garden. Okay. If you take anything on your body that is in the image of a point of creation, like for a woman, it would be breasts, it would be her private area, her pubic area. Where does the garden grow the best? It grows around the point of creation in a garden. How many trees are in a garden? Or how many trees were in the garden? 2. How many poles does the earth have? How many lights does it have in its heavens? How many eyes do you have on your head? How many legs and poles do you have underneath you? And your legs, just like the poles in this world, control the movement of everything in the heavens and everything there is that moves, even the wind. Those poles, those magnetic forces, they control the movement of everything. We are like the Most High. We can stand up on our own and move. Our two poles control the movement of everywhere we go. We can go in the yard and dance in a circle just like the heavens, or walk down the street. We are in the image of the Most High. And it's not just the image that we have access to. It is the authority. That's one of the big things I want to try to get y'all guys to understand, that we have that as well. And we're going to be continuing to go into that. I know I probably could explain this somehow a better way, but we'll work on that. Okay? We'll work on that. But I just have this stuff swirling in my mind 24 hours a day. I can't sleep at night. And I want y'all guys to know the truth. So I bring this stuff to you, prepared as I can be, with the best understanding that I can explain with the words that I have to work with. If y'all guys have questions, leave them in the comments, okay? Just ask me the questions. You can even disagree, as long as we're peaceable and we don't use profanities and cuss words and try to cuss people, or rather curse people. The lowest level of witchcraft is the use of the mouth to curse someone. Try to injure someone with your words. You don't want to do that. But you can disagree. You can ask me any questions you want. And I guess that's it for now. I love you guys. If you appreciate this work and you want me to continue, consider a small donation. All the links are below. Our Father in heaven loves you, and he wants you to know the truth too. We'll see you again very soon. And yeah, I'll be doing another supernatural show here very soon too. It's just there's this and one other, well, several other, but one other main area of project that I'm working on, and it's taking all my time, all my thought processes, all my energy to think is taking all of it. And I just don't have the energy to do the supernatural show at the moment, because I have to understand this higher understanding. Because I have the responsibility to explain it to y'all guys, to explain it to the world, to the ones that are seeking the truth, the higher truth, and see how we are all in the image of God, even the whole world, the earth, everything. I love you. Links below if you appreciate this work.
I've got one that can see.
Logic Before Authority.